Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, and of course, Hasbro Wizards of the Coast has decided to retcon the iconic warrior character on the cover of the Dungeons and Dragons Red Box basic set into what looks like an obese woman. I wish I were kidding. I wish this were April Fool's. It is not. The Red Box is, or was, my introduction, so many other people's introduction to Dungeons and Dragons as a kid. And that warrior is that warrior fighting that red dragon is like one of the most iconic pieces of fantasy art ever created by Larry Elmore. Everybody knows the Red Box cover, even if they've never played Dungeons and Dragons. And now Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, to be very current year, has decided that they're gonna retcon this cover, but they're gonna say that it's always been a woman. It's always been a woman. How come it's 2024 and this has never been mentioned before, Hasbro, ever? Like nobody's ever mentioned this before now. And of course, this is for woke points. I'm using my finger quotes here, but you can't see it. This is because, you know, Hasbro wants to be diverse and inclusive, but WizKids released a new figurine of this character, and yes, it is basically an obese woman. It doesn't look anything like the character on the cover, which when I was a kid I thought was Warduke from behind, but it is not. Let's talk about this. This is just utter bullocks, as they like to say across the pond. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. So I have to give a hat tip to the basic expert. We're going to talk about this, and then we're going to talk about BattleTech. BattleTech retconning characters too. And it's kind of like what's going on in Warhammer too, right? They're retconning female characters into Warhammer now. But this is some bullshit, as they like to say. The basic expert. So the fighter on the Red Box cover is now a female, and I'm told it has always been this way by supporters of this. What I think it is, it's change. Personally, I'm not so sure. I think it is change. I think it's changed because Larry Elmore, I think, has gone on record before as saying it's a dude, especially since the original image was intended to be a full party fighting a dragon. The party already included a female magic user blasting the dragon. This version was rejected by Gary Gygax, who wanted to zoom in on the fighter and the dragon only. So this is the original sketch. This is what was supposed to be the cover of the Red Box, and then we just... that's clearly a male character. Look at the muscles, look at the leg. Clearly a male character. Because the way that Larry Elmore draws, he very seldom draws muscle babes, right? That is clearly a male character. But yeah, they basically zoomed in on the dragon only, and this is what we got, the iconic cover. Basic expert goes on to say, I don't know. I think you're stretching to claim this is how it always was. Given that fact, I don't like much of this culture war stuff these days. So do not harass basic expert. I don't want to cause them any grief. Plus, women shouldn't be thrilled with pandering, patronizing, and repurposed scraps, which I'll be honest, that's what's happening here. It's just my 2 cents. I guess it's a good thing I don't like WizKid miniatures, and I'll just do a theater of the mind these days. So this is the miniature. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. In the early 1980s, there's absolutely no way. And there are some other comments here. People said that this has happened before. If fighter had been a woman, then she'd be facing us so all the guys could see her breasts. That is the early 1980s attitude. Yeah, so Larry Elmore did say it was a guy. I knew he called it a he, but I couldn't remember where. Yeah, that being female anatomy is a stretch. I agree. Obvious retcon, but big win, I guess, because I always wanted that male tank top and leather thong outfit on my female fighter. She's a guy. So, yeah, I don't know, guys. I think this is definitely... Yeah, here. Is this the official reaction? Call me crazy, but the fighter in the stretch looks male, while the other one on the cover looks female. I think the hair does it. I don't think it never looked. Look, this is the early 1980s, coming out of the 1970s. We're dealing with fantasy. We're dealing with rock and roll, and long hair was pretty common on men back there. So yeah, is this the official reaction figure? The formidable fighter? It's a dude. Sorry, it's a dude. Who cares, weirdo? Thanks for contributing to the conversation. We've always been at war with East Asia. Yeah, apparently this is not the first time. Yeah, Super 7 had this. Yeah, this is official. So I've never, ever, and look, I've been playing D&D since the mid 1980s. I have never heard of the fighter on the cover being referred to as a female, ever. And I'm sorry. You're trying to be diverse and inclusive. It just looks like a fat lady with a sword. Yeah, I'm sorry. This does not do it for me at all. But it's not just D&D. According to John Delarose over at the Fandom Pulse, of course we had the Warhammer situation, right? We got to retcon Warhammer and say that it's always been that way. There's a lot of gaslighting going on in tabletop these days, isn't there? The original BattleTech writer now is saying that Anastius Folk was never trans, but Brian Young won't back down. I am not a huge BattleTech fan, so I'm going to be honest. Michael A. Stackpole, of course, pretty well-renowned writer. And I am familiar with Stackpole from, I think, the Star Wars books, but he's best known, I guess, for BattleTech. So if I'm mispronouncing these names, guys, that's what's going on here. But so yeah, there's a lot of retconning going on all over the place now. Fans are being gaslit. This is happening in comics too, right? Oh, Tim Drake was always bisexual. No, he wasn't. The creator of Tim Drake, or the main writer of Tim Drake, who was Chuck Dixon, said no, that's not the case. The creator of his quote unquote boyfriend Bernard came out and said no, that's not the case. But they like to do this to troll people. So he's saying at this point, BattleTech writers are hired more for politics than they are for their care for the lore or reading comprehension abilities. So this is Brian Young. He had an ex-Twitter outburst of virtue signal on behalf of trans ideology. Catalyst Games Lab is on board with pushing the brand into political territory. Everything's getting political now, isn't it? And even that being the case, Michael Stackpole chimed in to correct the other author that this one character, Anastasius Focht, is that what it is, was never an allegory for trans. It's been mired in controversy since fan favorite writer Blaine Pardoe showed receipts of how he was treated by Catalyst Game Labs after being stalked and harassed for years. Probably. Tabletop, as much as comic books or the comic book industry has kind of been compromised by activists, political activists, and the video game industry as well, tabletop is the worst that I've seen. Like, you are not allowed to have any even remotely conservative opinions in the tabletop space, or you will be ostracized. But it's just so weird that they are, that they're going back and retconning classic characters. Yeah, this is from 1997, WotC. Fandom Pulse reported on activist and BattleTech writer Brian Young arguing about the character and how the character was always meant to be trans. While he expected applause for his identity politics outburst, fans clapped back at him to let him know this was never the case. Michael A. Stackpole jumped in. Michael A. Stackpole said, bingo, and because I knew all the way along who Focht was, there was never any hint that he wasn't a cis male. Wow. This is just crazy. Like, it's so weird to see these companies now. We're talking decades after these characters, after these properties were created. Now they decide they're going to retcon characters, and gaslight the fans. And it's in lockstep. It's like all these, again, Warhammer and BattleTech, and now D&D. Oh, you guys are crazy. There've always been women. Always been a lot of women in Warhammer. Oh, you guys are crazy. That character on the front of the box set that, I know there's been male action figures of, and they've always referred to him as he. Yeah, that's just a fat woman with a sword now. You're crazy. You're crazy. Oh, you thought that character was a straight cis male? Nah, it's trans character. You're crazy. You're all crazy. The fans are crazy. It's all you. It's all you, fam. You guys are crazy. Shut up and buy our shit. Shut up or you're a bigot. And people are quietly revolting. I think, regardless of like all the internet drama around this stuff, I think just average consumers are kind of, checking in on things. And they're like, yeah, everything seems a little weird right now. Like, why is everything so political? And they're noping out. That's it. They're taking their money and they're going elsewhere, right? D&D is dropping off a cliff. I mean, there are a lot of issues around D&D. It's definitely not just politics, but everybody's just like taking their money and going elsewhere, or they're just playing the old stuff again. I'm sorry. The fighter on the cover of the red box is a dude. It is a dude. You cannot tell me otherwise. It's a dude. Sorry if that ruins your day, Hasbro. It's a dude. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.